Kash Patel, it went on Capitol Hill. He's being nominated as FBI director or whatever. He's been on this neo-Nazis program, Stu Peters, a bunch, like 8 times, to talk to him, to agree with him on things. I mean, it's bad. When asked about it in his confirmation hearing, he said, yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. Who's Stu Peters? Never heard of him. Full-blown Hitler-loving neo-Nazi. Let's listen to how this Nazi reacted to people denying knowing him. I love it.
So Kash Patel is playing 6 million D chess as well. And, you know, he's in here. Barbara Russell, God bless you. Let's go back to that. Put our broadcast, our Rumble broadcast up on the screen. Look at that. And there's a little bit of a delay, but Barbara Russell was like, look at this. Look at all these gifts.
Holy Christ, dude. How much do they cost each? $5? I mean, what did she spent like $500 here? I don't know.
That she was putting.
That's awesome.
I mean, that is just so cool. God bless you, Barbara Russell. I hope you guys are thanking her too for gifting you. Somebody said, what's the subscription for? Well, it's Stew Crew. The
Stew Crew. I love it. I've got to come up with a good name like that for my members. What would I call them? The Owen somethings. What would we call it? I mean, God, Owen does maybe the Morgan something. What name would I give my crew of subscribers? Anybody got anything? The Morgan something. There's something there. Morganites? No, Morgan Potamians would be good, but I'm already using Magapotamians, so I can only use Potamians so much.
Peters community on locals. That's what keeps us on the air now. It's amazing.
That's not what keeps him on the air. He's filthy rich. Like, he gets ads. That's what keeps him on the air, actually. But okay.
Some other things happening here as well. I think we have. Do we have the video? Yeah, we do. So there's this confirmation hearing that we were just talking about. It's going on Capitol Hill. Some of you may have seen it on. Where is this? Some of you may have seen it on my X account, or maybe you were watching it live on Fox, or not tuning in here and listening to something else and saw what happened.
Shame on you.
So the Senator Dick Durbin was, I don't know, accosting Kash Patel.
No, he was questioning him.
This is part of what happened. Take a look. You're a gay guy. People call you. No, that's not it. We'll get to that.
Mr. Patel, you frequently associated with.
We'll get to that. Oh man, that was all right. So here we go. You're a gay guy. Yeah, nothing like stating the obvious. Thank you, Captain Obvious, Stu.
He believes that gay people are all people that take advantage of children. All of them, no exceptions. So, Mr. And that guy, that guy you had on screen just now was a right wing, like a conservative gay dude. I don't know why he's working with or speaking to or associating with Stu Peters in any way, when Stu Peters believes that he should be put to death violently. Just wild.
Oh, man, that was all right. So here we go. You're a gay guy. Yeah, nothing like stating the obvious. Thank you, Captain Obvious, Stu.
Mr. Patel, you frequently associated with and sometimes praised extremist figures with well-documented histories of racism, anti-Semitism, conspiracies, and the like. You familiar with the Stu Peters? Does that name ring a bell?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you familiar with Mr. Stu Peters?
He heard him. This drives me nuts, dude. He knew very well what the guy asked, but he pretends not to be able to understand him so he can stall for time. Think about what to say next. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they worked together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, let's continue.
Not off the top of my head.
He made 8 separate appearances on his podcast. He promoted outrageous conspiracy theories and worked with a prominent neo-Nazi. They're more Ted Nugent. It goes on. Let's go.
Guy worked with a prominent he is a prominent neo-Nazi. He's like one of the best known neo-Nazis.
I'm just asking, when it comes to your association with individuals, why are so many of them in this category?
My association, as you loosely define it, is by appearing in media over 1,000 times to take on people who are putting on conspiratorial theories.
Oh, so he's trying to debunk the things that Stu Peters says, is what you're telling me. I don't even need to knock this down. Stu Peters will do it for me.
And to devow them of their false impressions and to talk to them about the truth. That is something that I will always continue to fight for, Senator. And I certainly don't believe that an individual who was the first minority to serve as the Deputy Director of National Intelligence for this country is a racist.
He's pulling this bullshit. Like he thinks he's getting one over on the libs. He's owning the libs or something. I don't care what you are the first of. You're a Nazi, Kash Patel. You are a full-blown Hitler-loving Nazi. I don't want to hear any excuses. He is vile. His beliefs are vile.
All right. So,
I'm sorry. There's a siren.
That an individual who was the first minority to serve as the Deputy Director of National Intelligence for this country is a racist.
all right. So clearly, Kash Patel's lying. Yeah, he absolutely does know who I am, and he's very familiar on a lot of different levels. And I'm not going to get into that right now because this guy is going through a Senate confirmation hearing. So,
oh, please, Stu, please go through it. God, I love how butthurt he is about this.
I'm not going to get into too many personal specifics at this point, but
please get into them.
That's flagrantly false what he said there. And I don't want to hear this 6 million D chess stuff about how Kash Patel just has to get through this part of it, and then he just has to get in there and infiltrate so that he can root out all of the rats and the Jews. And, you know,
that's who Stu Peters is, man. That's who this guy is. He wants Kash Patel to, quote unquote, root out all of the rats and the Jews. The rats and the Jews. Stu Peters is a vile human being, honestly. You have to be a level of vile that I cannot even articulate to view things the way that Stu Peters does, really. Oh my God, that's just disgusting.
The globalists. No, that's not what's happening here.
He's imitating Alex Jones. It's funny.
Okay. He's doing what his people do.
His people. What his people do, namely Indians.
It's just inherently in them to lie and be deceitful. And he's lying.
This is a genetic argument that he's laying down. Indians are genetically inferior to whites. That's what Stu Peters believes. And he says it outright in a second. I mean, he's already kind of being obvious about it, but he outright says, I am a white exceptionalist. I believe white people are superior. Does not get much clearer than that one.
He didn't say, yeah, I know Stu Peters. As a matter of fact, I know Stu Peters well enough that my organization that I founded called Fight with Cash, which was designed to protect people against defamation by the media, real defamation, not the ones that Greenblatt is into.
Yeah, he means like Nazis trying to sue the media when the media rightly calls them Nazis. And there is a legal case that Stu has supposedly, allegedly filed. I don't even know if that's true. He claims that he did. We'll get into it in a second.
Real defamation, like at the hands of the Rolling Stone, who made up a story out of whole cloth and then attributed a quote, just blindly wrote this quote out of midair, something that I never ever said before, and then published it with quotation marks around it and then said, Stu Peters said.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Here's what he's talking about. The Rolling Stone, according to Stu Peters, says Stu Peters called Hitler a hero. He says Hitler was a hero, quote unquote. I didn't actually see the Rolling Stone article, but this is what they were referring to. I have like a couple of clips of him saying Hitler was a hero, basically. I think it was in reference to this.
It was war. Horrific things happened. Lots of people died. It was World War II. I don't believe that World War II happened as a result of the Holocaust. I don't believe that that was the reason for the war. And I'm
okay. I could pull this apart every which way. I'm not going to bother. He's full of shit, rest assured.
Asking a lot of questions about that. People don't like when I ask a lot of questions.
No, I asked a lot of questions, and I got the answers, and I accepted them when they were given to me. That's the difference. Stu Peters is framing statements, false statements, as questions. You know, if I were doing that, I could say something like, I wonder if Hitler was really secretly like Muslim. Do you think Hitler was Muslim and he was secretly working with the Muslim? Blah, blah, blah. I could ask questions like that, and they would be wrong. Like, with zero evidence for them. That's not me looking for answers. That's me making a statement in the form of a question. That's what Stu Peters does, so I don't want to hear it.
About that. Hitler may have been an evil dictator, a ruthless person that murdered millions of people. I don't know, because...
Well, because you haven't read about it for 15 seconds.
the propaganda that surrounds every war. But for this, wasn't he a hero? Wasn't Hitler doing the right thing when he ordered these books to be burned and these places to be stormed by?
That's what I'm talking about right there. That is what the Rolling Stone, I'm pretty sure, was quoting when they said, Stu Peters, Hitler was a hero. Okay, I suppose he didn't say, quote, Hitler was a hero. He said, wasn't Hitler a hero? And in my personal opinion, I believe that if this did go to court, the Rolling Stone would have absolutely no problems here. This would be dropped in like a second, and they'd probably countersue him for lawyers' fees and win, in my opinion. A defense to a claim of defamation is the truth. So if he really did say something like that, Hitler was a hero, then they're completely safe. They have nothing to worry about. If Stu Peters says, wasn't Hitler a hero for blah, 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 and the Rolling Stone quotes him as saying, quote, Hitler was a hero, could he sue them for defamation and win? Hold on. Yeah, I don't think, according to my lawyer wife, I don't think that he would win this. I wish I knew like more about the lawsuit. I wish I could get my hands on it. I don't even know where to start looking for that. Maybe I'll find it later. Anyway, I doubt with everything in me that any lawyer would even pick this case up because it's so stupid. He's very clearly a Nazi. Like, I don't know why he's even pretending.
An evil dictator, a ruthless person that murdered millions of people. I don't know, because of the propaganda that surrounds every war. But for this, wasn't he a hero?
Does it get clearer than that? He does this whole media tour claiming he didn't say Hitler is a hero.
Yesterday, Newsweek called me a pro-Hitler Nazi. Raw Story called me a pro-Hitler Nazi. I don't know how these people I mean,
because you literally say that.
They said that I was a Holocaust denier, which is completely false, emphatically false. As a matter of fact, they made up a quote out of whole cloth and said, Stu Peters said, quote, Hitler is a hero. I have never said any such thing. And they can print this stuff with impunity.
He is such a joke of a human being.
Because the hubris is so, because there's no accountability.
Well, they can print it with impunity because you said it.
And so they did this as a result of me announcing the Extreme Accountability event.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to...
Anyway, yeah. So that's what Stu Peters said. That's what he's talking about when he says that, like, Kash Patel, worked with him to create some organization to protect people from defamation or whatever. Complete nonsense. All of it. All the way down. I don't know what role Kash Patel had, but Stu Peters was definitely in the wrong here.
I never said it. And we proved that I never said it.
Okay, you can't prove a negative, but whatever.
And so Fight with Kash came to the aid of Stu Peters and the Stu Peters show because of Kash Patel personally, who personally knew me because of multiple appearances on this program. And then we exchanged contact information and we directly text via personal cell phones constantly. And we're on the phone with each other as Fight with Kash was hiring a team of attorneys to represent Stu Peters.
Just disgusting, dude. Kash Patel defending a literal Nazi who says that Hitler was a hero. I'm comfortable saying that. If Stu Peters sees this clip, sue me. You said it. He's defending a literal Nazi that said that shit. And now he's being confirmed by the Senate. FDR and everybody from that era they're rolling over in their graves to know that Nazis have taken over the country. That there is a Nazi who is at least about to be the FBI director. That there's a Nazi that did a Sieg Heil behind the presidential seal on Inauguration Day. These people would be absolutely disgusted. And it's not something that I believe in. I am a pacifist. I do not believe in violence. I think it's wrong pretty much always. But if, like, FDR or some of these other, older people who even fought in World War II, for example, if they knew what was happening, they would definitely believe that it was time for violent revolution if they saw this shit happening.
And the Stu Peters network against the Rolling Stone. So he absolutely knows who I am. If I go on a show 8 times, I don't care if I've had 10,000 appearances. If I go on a show 8 times, I'm not going to deny knowing the person.
Boy, you are just like, your ego is wounded, isn't it? You cannot get over the fact that people are embarrassed to know you, can you?
And like, what could he have said here? Do you have any evidence to suggest that Stu Peters is this neo-Nazi that you're claiming that he is? I mean, what is that even? Can you define neo-Nazi?
Like, are you for real right now? You trying to get me to define Nazi? Honestly, like, does it get more ridiculous? Does it get more absurd than this?
Is that like anti-Semitism or safe and effective or vaccine? Are we just changing the definitions to meet?
No, I'm using the definition of Nazi. Somebody that believes that people are inferior based on intrinsic qualities about them. Like they're physically, intellectually inferior or whatever because of their race, simply because of their race. I would say that's how I personally define Nazi, but I'm sure that there's probably a more accurate, common definition that's accepted by like the scholarly community.
To meet our grandstanding talking points while you're up here doing absolutely nothing because you know that I'm going to get confirmed anyways because Miriam Adelson wants me confirmed. And she paid $100 million to get this cabinet hand-selected and picked for Israel because we will all be good for Israel. If you don't believe me, Senator Durbin, see the appointments before me. If you don't believe me that this...
What does that have to do with anything? Yes, I think everybody agrees. Well, you know, a lot of people agree that billionaires should not be able to purchase politicians. How does that relate to you being the Nazi that you are? I don't understand. Oh yeah, my stream's 480p. Let me kick it up again now that I'm going to stop streaming on Twitch for just a second. Hang on, I'll be right back on Twitch, okay? I'm staying on YouTube though. Oops, I accidentally killed YouTube, but I think we're good now. Yeah, we should be good. Am I online now? I'm sorry, I could never be a pacifist because I believe in physically defending oneself. Actually, I believe in that too. Seems good, okay. My pacifistic views are more complicated than simply saying that I'm a pacifist. It's not just that, obviously. But yeah, I believe in defending myself, and I believe in defending people who are less fortunate. Like Ukraine, I believe, deserves to be defended because they didn't do shit to anybody. And it's plain, brazen imperialism that's leading Putin to try to, like, take Ukraine. So there is nuance to it. But when I say pacifist, I mean basically anti-war in pretty much every circumstance. Just about.
This is, you know, obviously a Jewish and Zionist occupied and controlled government, cabinet, and administration. Just look to my fellow nominee, Pete Hegseth. Yeah, we're here to serve Israel, Senator Durbin.
Oh boy, yeah. I don't know how many videos of Stu Peters you've seen, so I just address this real fast. Zionists are people that believe that Israel, let me rephrase that, Jews have a right to control the entire Middle East in the name of Israel because it's been like given to them by God. Like they're God ordained owners of the land, and Palestinians have no right to that area and should be ethnically cleansed. That's the belief. Or genocide, whichever is easier, I suppose. They're extremists, and there are Jewish Zionists and there are Christian Zionists. There are a lot of different Zionists of different backgrounds and everything else. But it's a right-wing nationalistic ideology, and as such, got along famously with Nazis. Zionists and Nazis got along well. They made deals with each other called the Havara Agreement specifically, which basically got, like, when Hitler's just trying to get Jews out of the country, or out of Europe. This is before he planned to do the whole murder machine thing. He made this deal with Zionists to allow Jews to go to Palestine with most of their assets. They didn't have to leave most of their stuff behind if they were going to Palestine, but they did have to leave everything behind if they're going anywhere else. So anyway, the point is that Zionists are Nazis. Effectively, they have the exact same ideology, the same viewpoints and beliefs and everything. It's just instead of believing that they're superior because they are like an Aryan race and the Aryans were like super strong, intelligent, better than everybody people, and everyone, and they're the only ones that have a mandate to lead anywhere in the world. Instead of believing that, they believe it about the Jewish community specifically. That's what a Zionist is. Definitionally, they're extremists. They're pretty much the same as Nazis. Stu Peters doesn't hate Zionists because they're genocidal, nationalistic extremists tantamount to Nazis. He doesn't hate them for that reason. He is a Nazi. He hates them because they're Jews, by and large. It's that simple. So when he speaks negatively about Zionism, bear in mind that it's not like a humanitarian position. It's a genocidal position.
So, the racist, bigoted, white supremacist, neo-Nazi Stu Peters.
Like, why is he even pretending? I don't get it. It's the same as like with the whole, Hitler was a hero thing. Why are you even pretending? This is what you believe. Like, just be honest about your beliefs. They're getting attention. They're getting international airtime. Why are you pretending that you don't believe this shit?
He's pointing those things out, and we recognize that that's not very convenient for all of you up here on Capitol Hill. I mean, why not just have an honest conversation? This is why they keep me as far away from politics as humanly possible, which is why I had to send Frankie Stocks to D.C. to jump out on these parasites.
Parasites, of course, being Jews. They're Jews. And or Zionists, which, again, can also be Christian. Just wild shit, man. Just wild shit.
I know that a lot of you have seen that, where he went there armed with a simple question from me, which was, Congressman, who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? And only Andy Biggs, out of more than 24 of them that we approached, only Andy Biggs unwaveringly just immediately said the American people.
Well, that's because it's a false dichotomy. You could care about both. And again, like ostensibly, I'm on his side on this issue that the U.S. should not be giving like mass amounts of money to Israel because Israel is going to use it to like murder people. But I'm doing it to save lives. He's doing it to end lives. Like, we have two different approaches. This is fundamentally the difference between left-wing populism and right-wing populism, or just right-wing populism and the left generally. One group, the right, has a set of like complaints about people. There's a deep state controlling the world from behind a curtain, and we need to like drain the swamp and everything. The left acknowledges that there are like billionaires that are buying elections in the US right now. The right says that it's Jews that are secretly doing all this shit to pull strings like puppet masters. We kind of have similar like kind of perceptions of the world to some degree, a little, I guess. People controlling things on a higher up, level with money. But their solution is vile. My solution is to get money out of politics. Their solution, the right, Stu Peters, is to kill the Jews. This is why left-wing populists, or the left in general, this is why the left should never, never work with the right. To find solutions to these, let me rephrase, never work with the populist right. The left should certainly form coalitions and make deals and find ways to pass legislation that's beneficial to everybody. But we should not, lend credibility to right-wing populist extremist reputations like Steve Bannon, for example, in an effort to accomplish some shared goal. Steve Bannon can work on getting money out of politics in his little corner, and I will work on it in my little corner, and we don't need to deal with each other at all, because Steve Bannon wants an entire demographic of people dead, and that's absolutely unacceptable to me. Should be to everybody.
Other than that, 100% of them either didn't answer, which was the majority, or when they answered, they had some weird thing. I mean, Frankie Stocks was even taking up the congressional elevator to the office of one of these parasites, where he...
Parasites is, again, it's a word that was used in Germany to describe Jews.
He flaunted and showed off and bragged about his Star of Rem fan and how he stands with Israel.
Star of Rem fan? Is he referencing the Star of David here?
We are so occupied. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible how occupied we actually are. But yeah.
So he said he believes that like Israel is pulling the strings like puppet masters. That's what he believes. Now, I believe that the Israel lobby is way too powerful. AIPAC is pouring money into our political system to a degree that is disturbing as shit to me. I don't like it. I don't think that AIPAC should be allowed to donate. Certainly not the way that they are right now. It's really bad, but it's very different from believing that they're pulling strings like puppet masters. believing that they fund both sides of every single war, believing that they're the richest people in the country and they're controlling everything. That's just straight up delusion.
Here we have this weird thing going on Capitol Hill where, I mean, I guess, great, they're talking about the show. Millions of people now more will be introduced to the program, and millions of those that digest the Fox News channel will go check out the Stu Peters show maybe
disturbingly
tonight. And that'd be great. So we see it as a net win. But I mean, just look at this. This is the way that this was all framed.
Patel, you frequently associated with and sometimes praised extremist figures with well-documented histories of racism, anti-Semitism, conspiracies, and the like. You familiar with the Stu Peters? Does that name ring a bell?
look at the look on his face. Are you familiar with Stu Peters?
Because he knows he's toxic. One of the most disturbing things about Stu Peters, though, to me, is how popular he really is. I can't believe that the Nazi movement in the United States is so big. You know, the Nazi movement in the U.S. was actually gigantic before World War II also. They were a real lobby. It was called America First, the America First political movement or lobby group or whatever. I'm not even joking. That's real. And the thing that flipped it was Japan attacking Pearl Harbor. That was the moment that everything changed in the American psyche. It was like 9/11. You remember? Maybe you guys don't remember. I don't really remember because I was technically like alive when 9/11 happened, but I was not politically conscious at all, had no idea what was going on. I was just too young. But the entire world was radicalized against Islam, against the Middle East. I can't even believe that Palestine survived that time. It was so intensely insane. Like people, like news commentators or news whatever, if they were opposed to the Iraq war, they were fired from their new, like CNN would fire them if they were anti-Iraq war. There was no room for nuance. There's no nothing, even though Iraq wasn't involved at all in 9/11. George Bush saw an opportunity to weaponize that hate, and he took it. That's what Pearl Harbor was like back in the 40s, whenever. Alexa, when did Pearl Harbor get attacked? Yes, I know. Alexa, stop. December 7th, 1941. Oh my God, I went through this whole explanation. I asked for the date, not what it was. Holy shit, this thing is annoying sometimes. Anyway, 1941 is when that happened. And it was, I guess, it was a little bit like when Ukraine was attacked by Russia. Nobody supported Russia at the time, if you remember. Nobody. Everybody was on Ukraine's side, to the point that they were even willing to, like, go over there and fight for the Ukrainians with no military experience whatsoever. Anyway, Pearl Harbor was like a key moment in U.S. consciousness that completely changed the direction of the war. And that's the kind of event that we would need to happen to change people's like perspectives on Nazism again, that kind of deal. Unfortunately, that's not coming. We're not going to get somebody coming in and kind of explaining politely why Nazism is so bad and just have everybody flip like that. We would need a culture-defining moment. It's a little more fun fact to lay down here for you. The Japanese were pushed into that position by the United States, who was basically strangling their oil supply. They had no choice but to react. There wasn't really another way out of the situation for Japan. So, like, I believe at this point they'd already made a deal with Germany, and they were fighting the Soviet Union, Japan was, and they needed oil to power their stuff. And I think they had like a total of something like 8 months worth of oil left. And if they didn't get more, then their entire army would be shut down. That'd be it. So they attacked the United States naval base in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, as like a preemptive move to prepare to mobilize for war. And they succeeded in crippling our Navy, but that moment galvanized the American public to a degree that cannot be articulated. It turned everybody against the Nazis. And everybody knows when the United States gets involved in a world war, it goes badly for the other side. Unfortunately, we are the Nazis this go around, so I'm not sure how we're going to weasel our way out of this pickle. As my dad used to say, put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. Maybe that's what we're looking at.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. Who am I? Am I familiar with? I'm sorry. Who?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you familiar with Mr. Stu Peters?
Not off the top of my head.
He made 8
Bullshit. He know this is a lie. But these people know that they're completely immune from any consequences of their actions, no matter what. He swore an oath just now to tell the truth. He put his hand on what I assume is a Bible, I don't know, and swore to tell the truth, no matter what. And he's lying. He perjured himself here. He very obviously knows Stu Peters, but there's no accountability for these people anymore.
I'm sorry, what?
Are you familiar with Mr. Stu Peters?
Not off the top of my head.
He made 8 separate appearances on his podcast. He promoted outrageous conspiracy theories and worked with a prominent neo-Nazi.
He is a prominent neo-Nazi.
Okay. I don't know who Dick Durbin is talking about here, the prominent neo-Nazi that I worked with. That's what he said, right? That I worked with a prominent neo-Nazi, right? They just throw shit around. They just make shit up. They just say it. They have no idea what they're talking about.
He is literally a neo-Nazi. He is a neo-Nazi. This isn't like he worked with one. He is one.
This Dick Durbin was handed this pamphlet, by one of these lackeys that, works for Top Ramen.
What? What's he talking? A lackey that works for Top Ramen? Yeah, you got to watch out for those. The ones that work for Top Ramen are the most dangerous ones. I mean, they're way more dangerous than the ones that work for Cuppo Noodles. Is that the other company? I don't know what other company.
He has no idea even what he's talking about.
Neo-Nazi.
Kash Patel. Because Kash knows who I am. And so that's why you get this look of confusion, like, God, I wonder what neo-Nazi that.
Neo-Nazi.
Look at Kash.
And they're more Ted Nugent. It goes on, list goes on. I'm
Ted
just asking,
Nugent.
when it comes to your association with
Yeah, Ted Nugent is a Nazi. He's absolutely most definitely a neo-Nazi for sure. I don't know why he's surprised by this.
individuals, why are so many of them in this category?
My association, as you loosely define it, is by appearing in media over 1,000 times to take on people who are putting on conspiratorial theories and to devour them of their false.
So is he saying that he came on the show 8 times to take me on and debunk or disavow my so-called conspiracy theories?
He absolutely is saying that, yep. And it's complete horseshit, obviously.
Is that what is, Frankie, is that what he's saying here?
Yeah, that's how it strikes me. Like he's the big-brained Indian who had to come on to the Stu Peters show and, what did he say? Devalue.
He came on as the infiltrating parasite that he is, where you set your sights on something that has some value or has some morals, and it's a morally upright, integrity-filled purpose, and you have to devalue it. I mean, he just basically completely admitted to what the H-1Bs are all up to. Well, yeah, of course, that's cheaper labor because they have devalued the work and the product that they are working on. Hello? I mean, yes, they're terrible at programming. That's why you get them cheaper, because they devalue everything that they touch.
That's an interesting point, okay? So let me lay this down for you. I worked in the software industry for a very long time, 6 years or something, and I still host my own websites and things. And I worked with architects, and we did hire Indians sometimes. We hired Ukrainians, we hired Russians and things. And just a quick side note here. Is it weird to anybody else that literally every single architect I've ever worked with in my entire life has always been a redhead? I've worked with 7 or 8 or 10 different architects from different companies over 6 years. They've all been redheads. I got a David Bowie wig for Halloween one time and went to work as an architect as for Halloween. Anyway, I've worked with Indians and different types of people, and I have found that Indians have a tendency to not put as much attention into the details or not put as much focus on things. their code tends to come out like completely unstructured and messy and confusing as shit. Russians and Ukrainians tend to be very organized and really good at like documenting their stuff and things like that. And the Chinese, again, it's just kind of like a run of the mill. They're pretty good, whatever. Now, there's a reason for that. Okay, there's a reason why there's a difference between like Indian programmers and Russian ones and stuff. It can be one of two things. Either it's social or it's genetic. I posit that it is social, which means I happen to know that in India they get kids into like a 2-week coding boot camp and send them on their way, and they're not really qualified to do the job because they haven't put enough time into learning it. But they're really inexpensive because what is it? The rupee? Is that what Indian income Indian denomination is? Yeah, rupee. The Indian rupee is worth way, 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 way less than the US dollar. So you can spend like a fraction of money on getting Indians, on hiring Indians to do the job. Again, the job will not be as structured and organized and clean and efficient as it will be if you hire an American or a Russian or Ukrainian, because these people aren't being trained for long enough. If you hire an Indian that went to a 4-year college, they'll do the job just as well as anybody else. It's a training thing. That's what I say when I say there are social differences between these cultures or whatever. And if it's a social difference rather than a genetic difference, it can be fixed, it can be changed, it can be modified, updated. Stu Peters believes that it's genetic. They're just genetically like that. They're genetically not as good as Americans. And there's nothing that'll change that. And if that's what you believe, then you're a Nazi. That was the Nazi argument, that people were genetically inferior. Now, Stu Peters is about to just come out and say that. If he hasn't already made it clear, I don't know what else he needs to do. He believes that people from India are genetically inferior. And he's going to use like cultural differences as not the baseline, but as the pretext to justify that. It must be social. The Indian Americans I work with are very good at their job. Stu Peters is claiming that if you took an Indian out of India as a 6-month-old baby and put them in a home with a white couple in America and had them train up the same way as any other American would, then it wouldn't matter because they would still be inferior at coding, at everything. They would just be inferior at being doctors, at whatever. Because it's genetic. They're just not as good as white people. That's his claim. And I'm sure I don't need to say it, but that's been disproven 1,000 times over. Everybody knows that's complete bullshit. Everybody. We litigated this and tested this in World War II. And Stu Peters, being the conspiracy theorist that he is, and I'm being polite by just calling him that, refuses to accept the facts that are in front of him. We are all humans, and we are not genetically diverse enough to have that kind of or to have differences to that degree. We're just not genetically diverse enough for that. Period. I don't remember who it was. There's names on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, there's a guy that famously goes around to right-wing shows and talks about how there's an IQ difference between black people and white people. You can look at statistics and see that black people just aren't as smart as white people ever. Genetically, they're just inferior. When you actually look at the data, you find that that's just complete bullshit. There is an IQ difference of 2 points, which is statistically irrelevant from what I've seen of the data. And aside from that, humans are not genetically diverse enough for that to be real. They're just not. You would need, for this to be real, you would need to completely discard evolution as the fact that it is and veer into superstition territory. The only way that this could be true is if God created us to be superior. That's just not how human beings work. That is just not how evolution works. There are no genetically inferior human beings like that. There is no genetically inferior race. There just isn't. I missed it. This guy in the vid saying he doesn't like Kash. Yeah, he's basically saying that he's genetically inferior, and he's pissed off that he pretended not to know him on Capitol Hill. Anyway, my overarching point here, to reiterate, is that if you pluck an Indian out of India and raise them in America, there would be no difference between the Indian kid and any other American kid. There is no genetic difference. Jews are not genetically inferior. Black people are not genetically inferior. There are social and cultural differences. That's what it boils down to. This is just an anti-science, nonsensical view. The Jehovah Mafia found me? Oh no. Where'd the Jehovah Mafia go? Are they here? Are they in the chat? Are they brigading? I'm not seeing it.
So here's Kash Patel just openly admitting what H-1Bs are here to do.
We're putting on conspiratorial theories and to devour them of their false impressions and to talk to them about the truth. That is something that I will always continue to fight for, Senator.
That'd be great if you fought for the truth, but you're not. He literally went on Stu Peters' network to agree with him that, like, there are inferior groups of people. It's just so embarrassing for Kash Patel that he would do this. It's like the word Uncle Tom. I don't like saying that word very much, but that term, that's what it is. He is an Uncle Tom. He is subservient to the people that fucking hate him and want him dead. And why? Does he even benefit from this? No, he doesn't. There's no benefit to Kash Patel, like, agreeing with Stu Peters on this shit. It's just embarrassing.
So Kash Patel is continuing to fight for that. That's why he came on my program 8 times. We're going to do a montage. That's what we need to do. Alex, get a montage together. I know that you can hear me. Get a montage together for the 8 times that Kash Patel was on the Stu Peters show, and so that we can show the public and show all of our viewers exactly how Kash Patel came on to disavow and devalue, my conspiracy theories and all my lies.
I think what he meant was disabuse them of that, not devalue them of that. But okay, whatever. Far be it from me to be a grammar Nazi to actual Nazis.
That's what Kash wants to say that he did. He came on the program to do the H-1B thing and devalue everything that he touches.
That is something that I will always continue to fight for, Senator. And I certainly don't believe that an individual who was the first minority to serve as the Deputy Director of National Intelligence for this country is a racist.
And this is just a cheap own the libs line. You can't criticize me because I'm not white. That is not what literally any human being on planet Earth believes, okay? You're capable of being, or it's okay to criticize people that are not white. Again, I got to repeat this. 7% of the U.S. believes that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. So I guess there's probably somebody out there that believes it, but...
Yeah, I'm an Indian, so I can't be racist. So
yeah, he has to pull out the diversity card.
Let's check
there,
out.
That's hilarious.
Hold on a second.
Dude, why did he even bring this guy on? He's not letting him say a word.
You're a very well-studied young man. How's the relationship between the Indians and the Pakistanis?
Yeah, they're so at each other's throats that it's the entire world's been terrified.
But I thought that if you were an Indian, you can't be a racist. You can't have racial prejudice.
Literally nobody said that. I guess, okay, well, I guess Kash Patel is implying it to own the libs. But yeah, nobody believes that, actually. And yeah, he's correct. Pakistan and India are really, really concerning. Like, how much they hate each other, and the fact that I believe that they have nukes, don't they? Aren't they nuclear armed powers?
No, I mean, and they get it wrong all the time, too. Yeah, I'm a white exceptionalist.
You catch that? I'm a white exceptionalist. Just coming out and saying it. Also known as a white supremacist, a white nationalist. Only white people should be allowed to, like, operate in government. Only white people should be allowed to exist in the United States or on planet Earth, depending on how extreme you are. Only white people are good to any degree. Every other race of people is inferior and bad. Literally exactly what Hitler believed. Does not get clearer than this.
You can't be a racist. You can't have racial prejudice. I mean, and they get it wrong all the time, too. Yeah, I'm a white exceptionalist. I am white, and I think that's exceptional, and I recognize that we are an exceptional race, a superior race of people who
Jesus, dude.
has built everything successful that has ever been known to man. It wasn't built by Indians. Nobody goes, wow, this is such an amazing and quality innovation. Oh, who did that? Oh, it was the Indians.
They don't say that. Okay, well, I mean, I've heard positive things about Indians before, plenty of times.
Wow, this is such a great culture, and I really love its history. I really, really love the nostalgia of this
People don't say that about India? Are you shitting me?
place. Well, where is that? Nobody ever says India.
Are you for real right now? You know where the word Aryan came from? It came from the Proto-Indo-European region, primarily in the Iranian region, from India, basically. The reason that like Aryan as a word, a concept or whatever became so popular in Germany is because there were epic stories told about these people called Aryans, and they were written in Sanskrit. A guy by the name of Houston Stewart Chamberlain, that's his name, I believe that's how it's pronounced, wrote about this in a book titled The Foundations of the 19th Century. He learned the Sanskrit language so that he could like read the poems in their original language. And the poems talked about Aryans. At the time, the word Aryan really just meant noble, but they being the Nazis who picked up on, you know, these epic poems and kind of believed them to be real, they changed the meaning of the word to kind of be about like, they changed the story to be about genetically elite people and believed that they were real. They believed that the Aryans were like superhuman, like Ubermensch. There were superhuman people that were capable of doing like lifting a car, you know, thinking 10 times faster than anybody else, that you know, that whole thing. That's where the Aryan myth came from. So I think it's really funny to me that Stu Peters considers himself an Aryan while bitching about Indians like this. It's a little ironic to me. Also, there is nothing superior about Stu Peters. Dude is a ginger, okay? If anything, he is inferior. No, I'm just kidding. Gingers are cool. I got nothing against gingers.
Nobody's going, oh, wow, you know, the Indians have done such great things that we need all of them. Now we need them to run our federal law enforcement apparatus. We need them to program everything so that they can devalue everything.
Nobody is saying that Indians should be in there or whatever. Everybody's just saying, don't be racist. There is no genetic inferiority. You're a science denier if you believe that. Anybody is just as capable as anybody else of doing a job. That's what people are saying. But Stu Peters won't accept even that. Just delusion at its finest.
I mean, all of this just sounds so effing ridiculous. But I digress. There he was on Capitol Hill, lying and talking about how he doesn't know me. I think that's the play here. I think we need to put the montage together. And you know, it's probably just wasting our time because at this point,
again, there is a montage put together. He's been on there like 8 times, and I've played it on my channel before if you want to see it. I think on my Fireside Chat channel if you're interested. But yeah, it's just a montage of him saying thanks for coming on like a billion different times with Kash Patel.
Everybody who has an IQ over a ham sandwich understands,
which is white people, of course, in his mind,
what's happening with the Trump appointments, that they're not Trump appointments. They're Miriam Adelson appointments. They're Benjamin Netanyahu appointments. They are appointments that will serve the foreign, secular, homosexual nation state of Israel.
Oh boy, the homosexual nation state of Israel. Okay.
The illegitimate, pedophilic nation state of Israel.
God, he's got to cram everything in there, doesn't he?
It was arbitrarily drawn on a map on May 14th, 1948, so that we could get these people their own place so they could get the f out of our business and everything that we're doing. Thousands of times they've been expelled from 109 countries, and we have citations for every single one of them.
A lot of this is just bullshit that he's laying down, but I'll say it again. I said it last time, but like Zionism, the belief that Jews have a divine right to control the Middle East, is a mirror ideology to Nazism. They are effectively the same in that Nazis believe that the Aryans are superior and deserve all this stuff. And Zionists believe that Jews are superior in the exact same way. They're mirror ideologies. Again, that's not why Stu Peters doesn't like Jews. He doesn't like Jews because he's just racist and vile.
And so when you start talking about those things and you start asking questions about that, like we had yesterday here, we had Rob Smith came on. Of course, we were getting into the news about...
Dude, this guy has not said a word. This is like the Stu Peters monologue segment. Why did he invite him on? God, I'm going to get this out. Why did he even invite him on if he wasn't going to let him talk at all? He's there to like fill in space for him. Do you think Pakistani and Indians like each other? No, I don't think they like each other. Okay, my turn to talk again.
How President Trump, one of the first orders of business is that President Trump was reinstating everybody who was unvaccinated and was unlawful. And we support that, by the way.
Right. If you didn't know about this, Trump is reinstating military personnel who were discharged for refusing to get a vaccine. And he's reinstating them with back pay, which is just disgusting for so many reasons. But okay, whatever.
So I'm not knocking President Trump at all. I think it was great what he did. He reinstated everybody with full back pay who was unlawfully and unconstitutionally removed from their...
That is not unlawful and or unconstitutional. But it was only like 8,000 people, so yeah.
Positions with the United States military or were other than honorably discharged or discharged honorably or in whatever case kicked out, forced to resign, whatever it is, reinstated them all to the military with all of their back pay. That's a great start. So Rob Smith was coming on, and I don't know if Rob Smith's bookers have no idea who I am. I don't know if Rob Smith has no idea who I am.
Yeah, I understand Rob Smith is a right-wing gay dude, I think.
This thing was scheduled for days in advance. As a matter of fact, full disclosure, I had conversations with people that work for me.
Anyway, yeah, that's Kash Patel's whole thing. And I'm just so entertained that, like, these people are eating each other alive. And I'm embarrassed for Kash Patel that he can't see that he's working with a group of people that want him dead, who don't give a shit about him, who are only using him as far as they can, and then they will drop him like a hot potato, as we're watching happen right now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because Kash Patel is, you know, a full-blown neo-Nazi, and I guess that ideology overrides his hatred for whatever. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.